Pleasant good evening to each and everyone in Georgetown, Guyana, the diaspora, and elsewhere. Fellow Guyanese. The message I'm going to bring out to you here today, some of you may not like it, but I'm giving it to you from the horse's mouth. But before I start, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and press the bell so you will get the next update. Let me start by saying Guyanese people in the Essequibo Coast, a lot of them are worried, especially the indigenous people, because bombs and bullets do not have friends and family. We have seen what happening in the Middle East between the Palestinians, Hamas, and the Jews. And of course, many of you in Guyana have witnessed it on the movie screen, but not real. But what I'm going to say might offend one race or the other, but I want you all to think. I wonder what the GDF and the police force and all those gunslingers going to do if Venezuela really take a lead to do what they are talking about. And I must tell you the way the Indo-Guyanese feel who are living in Venezuela, and even on the Essequibo Coast, and even along Georgetown, and certain rural area. But this is when a nation is divided, your enemy don't have to do much. Because fear alone is important to kill a nation such as Guyana, when you are living in fear from 1960s on to now, and you are divided by race. I've been shouting in the wilderness. I have supported a lot of political groups and parties to remove the late Fast Burnham. I was with the WPA, Working People Alliance. I was with Sharma Party, Joy Party. Even Burnham's son-in-law, when he raised a party, I joined it. And I turned back and I joined PNC, who was not APNU at the time. And I have my membership card to prove to anybody. The reason why I don't judge the book by the color is when you open it and you go down to brass tacks, then you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are good and bad in both races. But I must be honest, under the late Fast Burnham, the Indian people will never forget what happens to them under Burnham leadership. Indian people are like Jews. They do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, and they pass it down. But if you decide the crime between the two major races, the descendant of Africa and the descendant of India, and to make a fair judgment and follow the crime, Indian hurt more Indian than the blacks had ever done to them from 1960s, even on to Burnham time. The only thing that I will say that we will give them the right, 90-something% of the military, police force, custom, immigration, teachers and everything were blacks. They were educated Indians who said to me, they applied for the army, they wasn't tall enough, they're not educated. They applied for the police force. Under Burnham time, by the way, is a lot of red rope. Many Indian women complain they have to have sex before they get a job. Too many advantage take them, and too much also take the Amerindian people, the sons and daughters of the mainland of South America, Guyana. Sometimes I say, God moved mysteriously. Decent black people, decent Indian also will suffer because of the ignorant ones, stupid ones, the racial ones, and those who believe in division. You have seen it in every country where there's a division, where there's a religious problem. Your enemy could quicker overtake you. Let me praise Suriname for taking the Guyanese during Burnham time. 40-something thousand to 50,000 living there, give and take, going and coming. children born there. Same as Venezuela, 100 and something thousand families. And I said family, going and coming. Well, the indigenous people who is the Amerindian, or you call them Bok people, not to be humiliated or insulting the people, but I'm giving it in the Creole way. If I said anything to humiliate anyone, I apologize, but I'm just explaining. Same goes to the word nigger, coolie is not a curse of somebody, but to ridicule and create a problem because of lack of intelligence and education. Friends, it's easy to call somebody something that you do not understand. How offensive it can be depends which part of the equator you are standing in. It's like throwing gasoline into fire. Let's make it clear. What happened to the Indian race in the 60s? Guyanese blacks must not bear the burden about it because they were not the one that started. I said over and over, America gets what America wants. If Dr. Jagan had listened, that would have never happened thanks to Kennedy administration with Dean Ross and others. The Highlanders from the little islands, St. Lucia and others, was brought in there and put in Isano, Magia, Plaisance, Buxton, Stouffville, then Amstel, and many more where the dominant force of black people were living. Few blacks maybe get involved in it, Chinese, but not to the area that had happened in Mackenzie and Whistler. They were the looters. And I don't blame nobody. If a building is burning and got fridge, stove, stereo set, and you want it, you're risking your life. So if you get it, it's better you get it before it burns. It's covered by insurance. But it was a crime. But before it burned, you risk your life to get it. Friends, I do hope this must never happen again. But why we have a two-party system? When you, the black man, should know that Burnham was the General Secretary for the PPP during the 50s coming up. You see Guyana, Brindley Ben, Mr. Wilson, Llewellyn John, and many more. Friends, you have to understand your history before you all end up in the cemetery. Today we have Venezuela claiming 60% of Guyana, like they take Ancoco. But who is the Venezuelan? They are the descendant of Spain. But the true Venezuelans are the indigenous people called the Amerindian people, who have no boundary until colonial masters colonize it and make boundaries. Leguan and other places got fort was built by the Dutch, and they were fighting the Spanish. And then comes the British, and they make an agreement, and the Dutch get Suriname, that part of Guyana which divided from Nigeria, go back. The French get Cayenne, the three European divided against Spanish who were fighting the Dutch, and the Spanish keep Venezuela. The Portuguese got Brazil. But my argument is, Maduro is the great-grandchild of Spanish descendants, people who kill and slaughter the indigenous people. Same as in Guyana, the Indian and the blacks get a country of independence does not belong to you because only the two of you want to rule it. If we are Guyanese, why an Amerindian cannot be the head of either party to govern his country or her country? Is a white man, a Chinese man, or Indian govern any part of Africa? No, that was the past with Europeans. Colonized those countries. Today Africa is free. Did an Amerindian, a black person, a Chinese could rule India? No, ladies and gentlemen, that's independence. Or can any other race rule China? No, that's independent. But any other race, could they rule Europe? No. The farthest you might be is prime minister, like that little boy in England who's supporting Israel because he don't want the Palestinian to raise a flag and walk with it in England. It's alleged. If they find them with that, they will charge them and lock them up. Whatever, it's alleged. I get to understand why he done that. Because he are from the Hindu descendant who don't like Muslim in their home. And his wife, according to information it's alleged, signed a deal with an oil company for $1.5 billion. So he have a right to back the money. Because he born an opportunist, he will live as one and he will die as one. Indians love money like the Jewish friends and family. Now, nothing wrong with that, but the Jews, they have differences just like your Indians. They're fighting one another too. Plenty division. When will this world, same as the Africans, they have a lot of division. When will this world come together to understand we all was created by God Almighty in His own image and likeness, and we are human beings and not cannibals or wild animals? Friends, I interview some Venezuelan Guyanese, and what they say is not nice. The Indian, they're passing it down. It is very raw for me to put it on, so I asked my cameraman, let's edit it, and we're going to use the decent one who speaks nice. But you could feel the glut in him when he say he will support Venezuela anytime against Guyana. And if you listen to his reason, you can't blame him. Especially when you hear what went through. But if I play the rest with the insult and the curse and the humiliation to the black race and burn them, even though I tried to convince them that not all black people was involved in it and there wasn't Guyanese, and yes, the military, the police force, and thing is right, there were 99% of them in a country where you were only 200 or something thousand. And a lot of Indian opportunities. And it was a coalition government that put Burnham PNC into power with the late Peter Degas. Among the three leaders, Jagan for the PPP, Burnham for the PNC, Degas for the UF, he was the only one make his business a shareholder that any race could buy a share for $1. Friends, being a black person, one have to examine the wrong you have done to people. Not all of you, but the wicked one caused people to blame everybody. Blame an Indian. The same thing goes for the black race, to curse all of them and say they all are corrupt and covetous and vindictive. Well, I must be honest, those are words. Not every black person is vindictive, corrupt, and racial. Not every Indian are corrupt and racial and whatever, but Indians are not racist. It's a known fact. They are corrupt. I'd rather deal with a racist because that's what they grew up with, that was they learned. But once you could prove to them, work with them, that will eventually disappear. But corruption comes from birth and will remain until the end of the world. And Indians are full of corruption. But again, you have decent black people, decent Indian in Guyana, humble people, honorable, not the miserable one that is in Parliament. The President Ali went to the UN and addressed the United Nations. And he spoke about reparation for the Atlantic slave trade. And he blamed the Europeans. Of course, he's right. But what is amazing, he's an Indian descendant representing African descendant. And that much sent shock wave into the UN and the world at large, knowing what blacks have done to the Indian in Guyana. He caught the United Nations surprisingly. He caught them with their pants down because they didn't expect that from him. But all the black leaders who were there was very happy to know here is the descendant of Mahatma Gandhi or Jinnah could have speak on their behalf in the UN, which none of them had ever done. Only South Africa priest Desmond Tutu, Mandela, and Brother Obama maybe spoke about it. What happened? My friends, we cannot bring back the past, but we can correct the mistakes and go forward. Why today's generation must suffer the consequences of the illiterate, ignorant, stupid fool? Then we shall try Maduro and the Venezuelans for piracy that annihilate the indigenous people. Right, Mr. Ali, President? I think you should put an Amerindian to call on the UN and Spain for reparation for the Amerindians. What do you think? And also for the East Indians. I was told from a man who called me and said 25 million Indians was murdered. Now I don't have proof of it, but I will tell you what he says. But I asked the question, who must we blame for the slave trade? The white man or the ancestors of Africa? Or who must we blame for the cheap labor? The white man or the Maharajas of India? Think of it. Friends, we might be the descendants of Indians, Africans, Chinese, or Europeans, or others. But if we want to be fair, we are the descendant of Adam and Eve. Where is the Garden of Eden? We should go back there. You illiterate people, you are making it bad for the present generation and to continue. I condemn all war, whether in Africa because the European colonized your country. Change the name, teach your language and educate you. And many of you are benefiting from it in Africa. And in the America and the Caribbean, many of you in the Caribbean rule country that don't belong to you. But since you talk about slavery, you should get a boat and go back to Africa and give the native Indian, Arawak, those islands. Because if you believe in God Almighty, you accept stolen property. And you are more guilty than the man who stole it. Or y'all don't read the law books. Or y'all got a constitution, but the Amerindian and indigenous people got an institution. Y'all are worse than cancer, parasite. Because you all talk about you, but you don't talk what y'all are doing to people. While the Indians on the other way, open whorehouse and rum shop, capitalize on everything, and even ill-treat their own family, killing one another for property and land, going to the voodoo man. I think they were the ones should fight Venezuela. Because they love land, they will get the whole of Caracas if they want. But friends, I, as a Guyanese, would stand up in my country to defend what is right. Because Barrett Jack Deal, Infant Ali, Mr. Norton, Barnum and Jagan, they are not Guyana. And they are all descendants of Africa and India, like myself, who ancestors is from all walks of life. And if you believe in the teaching of Allah and God, Ali, and Mr. Barrett Jack Deal, then it's an Amerindian country. And if you appoint an Amerindian in the UN to speak, and as leader of his country and administered by everybody, we will annihilate racism. Because there won't be no PNC, PPP. It will be a national front government, which means we are all for one. And to be honest, if my enemy could give me land and money to build a house, medical, education, do you feel it's sense right to go against my enemy? Any rational person will tell you, you will be committing suicide if you do that. A woman is being beaten by her drunken husband, but the neighbor rescue her and her children. She will be a stupid fool or an asshole to go back with the drunk man, to be humiliated, beaten, and hunger. And her children will have to be humiliated and insulted and cursed by society. Come on, Ali. You even went into England, it's alleged, and tell them England must pay reparation to the Atlantic slave trade. But did you tell the PNC and the black people if they give back those Indian people their house in Mackenzie and Wisma, and other part what was taken away? You did not. My friends, before you try to correct what you learn or you hear, correct the things you witness or your father and mother witness. So I want you to understand clearly, Guyana is not for Indian and black people, Portuguese and Chinese. It is for the Amerindian, followed by the mixed race. Because the Portuguese and Chinese don't complain about arrival and all of this, is the two of you. If you're emancipated because you're a slave, go back to Africa. And let those in Africa come in your space. Give up your house, give up everything you got. Because in this world, no man wants to go back into the dark age. Imagine 60% of the black women in the Western Hemisphere wake up today with black hair, and tomorrow they got blonde hair. Eyelash and slim tattoo on the dark skin. Think of what I'm telling you. Can you send them back into the jungle of Africa to be raped and be enslaved? Like what their ancestors went through before they sold your ancestors? I got your blood in me, so I'm free to tell you this. You may not like it. I'm educating you. You know what people write? I was in Africa, many parts. I was in Saudi Arabia. A pack of mental, cruel human beings calling themselves Muslim. I think they're right. They maybe try to tell people they are very slim, but they say Muslim. I think they get mixed up with the word they are slim to compare with Muslim, the religious people. My friend, if that is Islam in Saudi Arabia and other Arabian countries that enslaving black people and other races of people from the Philippines and India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, I would not like to know what is it, because I'm not lying. It was all on Facebook. Look what's happening in Palestine. I condemn it. Nobody have a right to kill nobody for land. But nobody in the Caribbean could condemn Israel. When you inherit lands that don't belong to you, but still holding on to Mother Africa. And Indians, they'll be from India. Come off of it, they were born in Guyana, accept it as Guyanese. Now, if Venezuela should declare this war on the 3rd and 4th of December, we will have black people and Indian Maikata and uniform fighting them. Then we have to say, India and Africa are getting involved in Guyana affairs because you all are identifying yourself as Africans and Indians. Come off of this BS, because we are all Guyanese. But I want to ask the Attorney General Nandalong and the former Security Minister, Mr. Ramjatan, I hope you all will put on a bloody uniform on he and Mujib Nagamutu and put them to the border. I saw that they are talking about the Venezuelan must have visa. The AFC, account information is alleged, to come to Guyana. Who the hell is them to say who must come to the country when they themselves got their money in foreign banks and buying house in foreign banks, a lot of them. According to information, even Mr. Barry Jagner got investment in America. According to information, it's alleged. Friends, no crime shall go unpaid. But I want you all to know one thing. Why do not Mr. Ali invite back the British and the American and give America some place on the Essequibo? I've been saying this many years ago, to put the base so they could carry people there, because at things in the airport, they got underground thing that would belong to them. Why? But because of greed and corruption, they don't want the police of the world to be there. Who will fight for Guyana, Mr. Ali? Only Brazil may stand up to help you, but they got to come through to the Atlantic coast for do the shipping, which will be cheaper than coming through the Panama Canal. Okay? Think of it. They could put a very good harbor, dig the Demerara River to Mackenzie deeper, and use Mackenzie as a closed port for whatever they produce to get to the Americans and the rest of the world on the Atlantic coast. All I am saying, Venezuela gave land to every Guyanese family. And some even get a house, some build their own. And every man and woman who's adult was getting 10,000 US dollars per year in the bank. Children was getting 5 under Hugo Chavez. He followed the footsteps of Colonel Gaddafi. And he was an indigenous breed with Spanish heritage also. Friends, as a Guyanese, we must stand up to defend Guyana. But we cannot defend the country with corrupt politicians who make laws to deny the innocent man, woman, justice because you're not with their party or because call an information and speak out against a corrupt minister. They use the court to lock you up, use criminals to beat you and kill you, and you want we to fight for them? We got to be drunk. Please understand what I'm saying here. I would fight for Guyana. Lost my life for Guyana, but it has to change. I am not going to fight for Thomas and Gangadin and Aladdin and James and Henry when you're locking my ass up, beating me, robbing me, taking away my land, bribing Thomas and Jefferson because you want my land and deny me justice. Take all the obeah man to do obeah on Mr. Maduro. I think it can work. What y'all think? Learn one thing in life. Only God is the greatest obeah man. All right? Nothing lasts forever. So come on, Mr. President Ali. Your jail is full of criminals. Release them. Show mercy. But the country may have a war in the 4th and the thing of with Venezuela of December. Let us pray that it never happens. Because they are killing for something that don't belong to them themselves. And we will get into the trouble because we are claiming Africa and India, but we're not going back. So we ourselves are denying the Amerindian their rights on both sides of the fence with Mr. Maduro. Friends, as a Guyanese, let us stop this nonsense and unite. The only solution for Guyana is a national front government. You won't have PNC, a black party, or APNU, where those hypocrites join and breaking the law, locking up innocent people, beating them, don't even give them medical, and they come talking to you. Mr. Trotman coming out now to speak about the ideal account information is alleged. When Ramjatan was in Queens in a meeting, I asked him about the Venezuelans. I throw a wild card. I said, Mr. Security Minister, a lot of Venezuelans are coming in Guyana. Do you know who they are? Suppose they are military. He said, we have it under control. How suddenly he want to throw his shit on the burden of the PPP when they was in government, and that is when they were coming over. And why must the Venezuelan have visa to enter Guyana? Did any Indian who is in Venezuela have a visa? You know what y'all are playing with? Friends, nothing lasts forever. And don't matter which country y'all go to, not all crime will go unpaid. All right? The wrong y'all have done to people will come back to hand to generation. And you, clean y'all act up. They are very decent and honorable people in the parliament, but they stayed because they're making money. And no ministers in government should have share in no government facilities, bridge, road, electric, or water. Because y'all are not business people. You've been hired to do a bloody job. All right? And therefore, every crime that was committed by the PNC and the PPP shall be reopened in the right time. Plenty of you, no matter where you run, we can bring you all back. We are looking for a world to live in peace, where we all must respect one another, worship our God, take care of our family, and put the nation from which we live in, whether Venezuela, Brazil, Guyana, or elsewhere, come first. Open up the door to Africa and India. Open up the door to these people who are looking for a place to live, to take care of their family. If you believe in the teaching of Allah, the land belongs to Him, not Jopal, Gangadin, Aladdin, and Pasad, and Dean, and Ali. or Mohammed, or Thomas, James, and Henry, and Mary, and Jennifer. Okay? Get that straight. Because we are all just temporary. And therefore, that is how it will be. When Wednesday, after editing, we are using a Guyanese. It's going to be, I think, 12 or 13 minutes of the man. We couldn't show his face because the woman was sitting on my side and the man on the side, they're police. I was asked not to show their face nor the neighborhood. And I'll be honest, they're living better than the Guyanese, Indian, and blacks in Guyana, even though a sanction was laid by them, by the United States government. Today, Venezuelans are running all over for survival. But in Guyana, we want them to give visa when they did not ask for visa for Guyanese to enter into Venezuela. Who are y'all, man? Y'all are the great-grandchildren of India and Africa. Y'all don't have a voice. Ask the Amerindian or the mixed race. Every Guyanese family must have land, and the government must give money for them to build their dream house. Okay? And no government ministers must be a shareholder of the bridge, the water, the electric, or anything to do with the development of the country where they make a drawback. All right? I said that to Mr. Ali, President. I will give you the respect. Because it looks like Barrett is the barking Doberman, or I will say the pit bull, while you are just the home dog and you are stretching your tongue what you don't know. You go to England, it's alleged, and telling the white people they must pay money for the Atlantic slave trade. You go to the UN and you say the same, that comedians make jokes out of you. They say you can't even speak right. All right? Even the Guyanese blacks in Brooklyn laughing how you speak, and they're praising Burnham even though he was vindictive and corrupt. Friends, when will ever you all open up your eyes and your ears and accept each other and stop the BS? Send Ahmad Ali, Sapraz Ali, Bibi Ali, and Latri Bagastan, who built a wall on our land because of a corrupt judge. Well, then I can't say she corrupt because she tell them build according to the boundary. The man take away 16 to 18 inches of our land because I'm not there. Now, I'm asking y'all, if I pick up a gun and go and kill out the whole family, am I right? Because if you tell me that I am wrong, then y'all should not fight Venezuela. But if you're going to get military to fight Venezuela, then you are telling anybody who get robbed with land in Guyana to kill the people who robbed them. Why it is good for you to put military to kill the other side, because they mean to take the country, because they're claiming it is their own, and you know. But you're going to put military for go fight them, but my neighbor take my land, I use your court, you're so corrupt, deny me my rights, and if I kill them, you're going to charge me for murder. Is it the same thing would happen if you fight Venezuela, or they fight you, both sides can be charged for murder? Friends, hope you know what y'all are doing. But we don't want you to get to that. Burnham F up the country with Jagan. All right? David Granger, I think as a military man, he would have been wiser. Right? He was trained out here. According to information, it's alleged. But again, it's alleged. Too many young black boys in jail, but he set free a lot of them. What happened to Barrett? What happened to Ramatar? What happened to Ali? Y'all have no mercy? They commit the crime, so they will spend the time, but y'all are committing the biggest crime, but y'all don't want to spend no time, but God have y'all in his hand. Wake up, Ali. Stop being used. Stop being used like a yo-yo. Please. Let's unite the races of Guyana and defend Guyana by all cause necessary. But let's put an Amerindian to head his country. Let us just have a little argument, for argument's sake. If Muhammad should take the Muslim into heaven, and something go wrong that he talk and y'all don't like, y'all gonna throw it out and take it away from him? Or may I say, if Rama Krishna do the same to the Hindu, y'all gonna do that? I guarantee you, y'all might do that. Y'all might throw God out and Muhammad and all the prophets faster than God throw Lucifer and his angels out. You hypocrites. Y'all may not like what I'm saying, but one thing or we have in common, death. We came from the womb, and we shall go to the tomb, or the graveyard as you call it. Friends, I'm calling upon y'all. The young black man will serve Guyana with the uniform, will be committing suicide by going to the border to fight the Venezuelan military. Y'all ain't ready yet. Trust me. And the young Indians who now join, you ain't gonna able neither. So, Mr. Ali, call the United States in. Give them some island to build their base back there so they could keep an eye on the traffickers, the drug users and dealers, and the prostitution ring. And open the bloody door to every country around us first. Brazil, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela. Those were the closest people to us who don't even speak English, but welcome our people without fear. Trinidad, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Antigua, and many other parts that give our people a hard time. Only a few get to stay. But you don't know what they went through. So, my friends, do not close the door on those who had opened up their heart to us in the time of our need. So let them bring their family with them to enjoy their hospitality and stop this thing but black man and coolie man, Guyanese. And stop talking about reparation, because who will pay the Amerindian for what happened to them, Mr. Ali? Come on. Who will pay the East Indian for what happened to them in Mackenzie? When the little daughter bottle was pushed into them and tear. Did you praise H&L Kisoon, Lila Kisoon, who turned in our workshop as a makeshift tent to house them when they were coming from Mackenzie? I never hear none of you call her and give her an award. Come on, Ali. But we hear a lot. So you fellow Guyanese, Indian and black, stop the fighting. Your enemy is yourself. The politician is using and abusing y'all. And let it be known, whatever crime committed against an innocent man and woman, I ask the family and others, get the name of the magistrate, the police, the judge, the prosecutor, and who in charge at the time. No crime shall go unpaid, no matter how long it is. The Jews was going in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, looking for the SS, who killed 6 million Jews, but they forget 200 million other races, Indian and black alike, and European. And let's get off of this slave talk and talk about humanity and make this world a better place so we all can enjoy it till God ready for us and know what we are doing. My friends, many of you may not like what I'm saying. I call upon all priests, all pandits, all imams to come together. And I call upon Ali, declare a day of prayer. Okay? And ask God to change what's coming. But I know one thing. America will not allow this nonsense. Especially where the oil company is stretching around there. The only problem is, who's going to pay the U.S.? So if you was getting $50 on the oil, you're going to lose 35 to 42, okay? It costs money to carry a military force to protect you. So eventually, better you give the country to America or Britain back. That's all I can tell you. My friends, it is very important for you to know we are all here temporary. We can be the next America. Open the door to Africa, India, and others, and welcome all refugees from around the world to come and develop Guyana. We need 20 to 30 million people. We don't have 1 million and we are divided. Let's praise God and accept our brothers and sisters if you believe in the teaching of Allah, God, or whatever. So my friends, I would like to bring this to an end because I think I've spoken enough. But I want you to know Wednesday, I'm going to release the video. And you will see for yourself how our enemy treat our people when we destroy them, ill-treat them. But I beg of you, they're very good black people, honorable, and you have some no good. But why all have to carry the same name? You have some very decent Indian. Why we have to argue and blame all Indians? I want to know. This nonsense must not be. So friends, I beg of you, as Guyanese, let's unite and protect Guyana. And let us pray that there won't be a war and a peaceful solution could come against the border dispute for humanity. And bring the Amerindian, the 9 tribes, to be involved more in their country development and stop the corruption. Because no matter what you thief, you're going to dead and leave it. Look at the Shah. Look at Gaddafi. Great men. Look at Saddam. And many more. So I urge you in the name of Allah, Bhagwan, and God, let's unite. Save Guyana. Stop the nonsense. And let's work to make life better for humanity. Open up the door to our brothers and sisters from Africa, India. But our borders come first. And those who open up the door to us in the time of our need. And remember, America gets what America wants. We are all brothers under the flag of Britain, and we must remain that way for our salvation and prosperity for the next generation. Friends, there are so many things to talk about. Do you know how many thousand people from Guyana is in America? Even though they messed up, Dr. Jagan, they open up the door to plenty of you from Berbice to Essequibo, from Demerara to Mackenzie over here. Even though they know that the black people of Guyana was trained to hate white people, they still open up the door to bring you because of Sotika Michael, Malcolm X, and all the rest. Because you all are illiterate, you don't read and analyze for yourself. 80% of the thing that was written in history is make-believe. Only 20 or 19% is true. But everybody was a slave. And if we're going to say we are African, Indian, and Chinese, can somebody find the Garden of Eden? Because all begin there with Adam and Eve, the serpent, the man, and the woman. So we must go back to the Garden of Eden. There's no such thing as Africa, India, China, America, and England. There's a place called the Garden of Eden. Where it is? Ask your historian. My friends, let's stop this BS and unite. Stop this thing but white man, black man, brown man, yellow man. We are man. God made us in his own image and likeness. Ask our black brothers in the Caribbean, Guyana, will they give up the helicopter, the plane, the millions, the fancy house and swimming pool to go back to live in Kenya, Botswana, Nigeria? Come on, Angola, Mozambique, and not forgetting Somali. I was there. Y'all don't know how you're lucky. But these things had to happen. If God had chastened Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, maybe we would have still there kneeling down begging pardon, you bloody hypocrites. It had to happen so that we could be migrated to other parts of the world, so God's world could be united. All right? The sun rises from the east and down in the west, but it glares to the north and the south. Okay? The breeze blows from one corner to circle the hemisphere. Get it clear. And the ocean, the waters still join together. Whether Pacific or Atlantic. So come off of this bullshit and let's talk of humanity. We are only separated by languages. Forget color. Only languages, we are human beings. Let's get off of it. Let's unite. Because what is about to occur in another couple months, if we are not united, this world will suffer tremendously. And you, the people, farming, plant food, take care of your family, unite. And Guyana must help the world at large by taking people into Guyana. We are not a million. England got a lot. Canada got a lot. America got a lot. Venezuela got the biggest among around there, followed by Suriname. Guyana gets 6 or 8,000. And the Caribbean, Antiguans got a couple of hundred. Let's wake up to reality and unite as one. And treat each other with love and respect. And remember, we must defend Guyana, but Guyana belongs to an indigenous race called the Amerindian. Everybody meet them there. Columbus, John Martin, and Sir Walter Raleigh, and many others. So let us stop this nonsense, Mr. Ali, and stop talking about reparation for the Atlantic slave trade when your people still slaving people in Guyana economically. Come on. When I release that interview from the Guyanese in Venezuela, you will see the difference. All right? We got to edit it because it's very straightforward, but it's very devious. Please, leave the hate behind. And all who intermarry, black marry Indian, Indian marry black, or other race, you should be given a prize. Because you break the racial tension. Get off of this racism and religious division. We are human beings was created by God Almighty. All right? And God chased Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. Because if they had remained there, we wouldn't have born. So Africa, Europe, wherever we are scattered, it had to be to get the hell off of the past and let's look to the future. Peace, and may God be with all of you. And I'm your host, George Correa. Thank you.